history where two best friends tell you stuff. Maybe it's a person. Maybe it's a place. Maybe it's a thing. We don't know yet.
Nouns! Yay!
Woo! We talk about nouns all day, every day.
This is the grammar podcast.
Ill-equipped grammar. It's probably pretty accurate, honestly.
Yeah, we don't talk too good.
I talk bad. Well, I'm Emileigh, because I always forget to introduce myself. And this is Morgan.
Hi.
How are you?
I am so glad that I am here with you, Emileigh, after the day I had today. It's the light of my day. Super highlight.
Liz, I think being here with you has been the highlight of my week, because we've already put this off 2 days and the clock is ticking, and I'm just like, I love just sitting here and just BSing with you for half the night.
Because the whole weekend wasn't enough either.
We had a very interesting weekend.
Mm-hmm.
If y'all didn't tune in for last week, we went to our yearly friends and family off-roading trip. And I want it to be known that I did not drink too much this weekend.
Me neither.
What? Look at us being responsible adults.
Someone had to be, because
Yeah.
Lord knows no one else was.
No one else was. And I actually drove our Jeep. Not that I haven't done it a million times in the past, but I haven't driven in like 3 years.
You did a great job.
Thank you. My favorite was listening to you cackle the whole time, because it was just the two of us in the Jeep. And every time, like, we got going really good and I had to, like, floor it to get over the rocks, she laughs like a maniac, and it makes my year.
It's just
really
so fun.
does. Your adrenaline is like, must laugh at death.
Yep. That's exactly what it is. It's like, I don't know what else to do, so I will laugh.
Laugh. Surely to goodness by now, I've put pictures on our Facebook and TikTok and stuff. I've been a little busy. So.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, but that's okay. Maybe I can get some videos, because somebody out there has a video of me driving, and that's
I've got
normally
sort of one of you in the Jeep.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll use that one. Turns out I have turned into a passenger princess. So until Nick needs me to tell him where to go, and then I get out and spot for him. But I've been kind of just for the past couple of years just vibing in the passenger seat with like a beer in my hand. And I didn't even really plan on driving. I just sat in the seat, and then they were like, okay, it's your turn. And I'm like, oh, okie doke.
And we were also, because usually what ends up happening is that Nick finds himself in a tough spot, and so we all have to get out to lighten the load so he can get up. And by this point, we had climbed an entire damn mountain. Yeah. And Emileigh and I were like, we're tired of walking. We can make him walk. And we did.
And he had the audacity to tell me while we were going up, he said, honey, I'm not used to being the spotter. I think we're going to have to switch, because you're better at spotting. You know where the Jeep needs to go. And I'm like, no, you need to get better, because I don't want to walk up there right now. So I'm going to drive.
It was so nice not having to walk up that mountain. It was very refreshing.
Even if it took 45 extra minutes, because I got stuck.
I was sitting down and having a good old time.
Hey, how do those seats hold your butt real well? You don't slide around?
No.
They're nice.
I was very secure.
Yeah, that is one thing. Before in our Cherokee, those seats are very flat. It's like you're sliding around. Doesn't matter if you have the seatbelt on or not. You're sliding. Those, like, he got like race seats, so they hug your butt. And let me tell you, you got some hips on you. You are wedged in there.
We almost couldn't get my seatbelt on me. It was a group effort.
But you weren't going anywhere, damn
I was
it.
not. I was snug as a bug.
Locked in. And we had decent sleeping arrangements this year.
Yeah.
Except maybe Kyle's legs, but I mean, fitting him into a camper anytime is...
He's like 8 feet tall. Like, he's just not going to fit anywhere.
Too tall.
Too bam. So I was about to say too bam dig.
Too bam dig.
Too bam dig. No, he's
so
tall.
Yeah, shout out to Drew for driving his camper all the way from Colorado for this weekend.
Thanks, Drewby.
Yeah, we love you. We hope you had a nice drive home.
Back to your blizzard.
Yeah, thankfully, I think all the roads cleared up for him. But we'll see you in a few weeks when you come back for Christmas. Yay! Yay! Should we get into this?
Let's do
topic?
it. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. It's September 4th, 1882 in Manhattan. A crowd is gathered around a specific city block waiting for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Do you think it'll work? Of course it will. That man knows what he is doing.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about the man that literally recorded sound. I'm still not sure how that works.
I guess you're right. It just makes me nervous. I mean, is this really better than gaslighting? Is it better? Of course it's better. No more soot on the walls and no more weird smell.
Yep, plus electric lighting won't kill you in its sleep if it leaks.
Shh, 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 shh. I think they're about to start.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a moment we've all been waiting for. Electric lights!
The city block illuminates and the crowd goes wild.
Oh, holy shit!
What was that?
My eyeballs!
Wow.
Ah, wow, it's like a, I don't know. It's like a something.
Well, I ain't never seen nothing that pretty in my whole life. Damn. Thomas Edison really lit up my world. I really think that was so proud of it. So, Morgan, talking about Tommy here.
Good old
Mr.
Thomas Edison.
Himself. Yeah, why did it take us so long to talk about
I don't know.
Thomas Edison?
I think I was just like pushing it off to the right time and then you beat me to it. Also, Emileigh has not seen my episode yet. That's gonna air next week. We did it again.
We did?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, how close is it? Like,
our skit is very similar.
What?
And it takes place in about the same time frame in America with male inventors.
We're synced again, baby! Wow, it's been too long.
I know. Neither of us had any idea what the other was covering, so thankfully it's not the same person.
Oh, thank God. I know. You know what? We talked about it on our trip. You said that you had started researching someone, and I said, what did I say? You said it was like 2 people.
Yeah.
Mostly. And I was like, okay, I think we're going to be fine because mine's about 1 person. But I had this gut feeling that, like, what if we cover the same person?
No, it's not, but it's eerily similar as far as just like general topic, which Emileigh will find out next week.
Don't make me wait. Okay. Well, let's get this inventor underway. And, you know, oh my gosh, I just realized something.
What?
He was born on Lou's birthday.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so funny. February 11th, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
He's in. I just remembered that you're not looking at my notes, too. I was like, yeah, it says it right there.
Why are you guessing?
Well, yeah, why are you guessing? Can't you read?
Rude.
that was like the reaction you had when I said optometrist.
Ophthalmologist, or what did you even say? It was like, it wasn't even ophthalmologist.
Repeated.
It was like ophthalmologist. No, because I don't know. It was something I'd never heard of before.
It's probably because it's not a word that's ever been said before.
Congratulations, Emileigh. You made a new sound.
Congratulations, you're a unique dumbass.
Oh, this is really hot tea.
Oh, no. Ooh. Okay.
Sorry, my legs started cramping. Just stretch it out. What is happening?
I wore heels to a meeting that I sat at, and my knees hurt that night. I'm like, what is wrong with us?
I was sitting all day.
I walked from the car into the hotel conference room and then back to the car.
And your knees like, it's too much.
Oh my god. Okay.
Okay.
So 15 minutes later.
I know. Yeah, you're gonna have a lot to cut out. Sorry.
Let's just leave it. Whatever. So leave the bullshit. So okay. Early life. Mr. Thomas Alva Edison was born on February the 11th in 1847 in, I guess it's Milan, Ohio. Milan.
Shut up.
Why?
Ohio?
Is it another? No!
I'm so sorry. I'm gonna try not to derail you every time you say something. I apologize.
You derail me anytime you want.
Okay.
So aggressive. So, okay, so he was the 7th and last child of Samuel Ogden Edison Jr. and Nancy Matthews Elliott. Apparently his dad was from Nova Scotia, which is pretty cool. I did not know that.
Neat.
Edison was taught reading, writing, arithmetic, and all that by his mother, who was a former school teacher. And he was taught by his mother because he only had like 3 months of formal education.
Wow.
Yeah, which is insane, knowing everything he's going to do in the future. He only had 3 months of formal education. Now, he did get education from his mother, but apparently he was kind of like unruly at school, and his teachers were like, nah, bruh, you can't do that. I don't know. He was, what did they call it? I think I might have accidentally deleted it. He was curious. He was a curious kid to the point of being a menace. Like, apparently he burned down a barn once just to see what would happen.
Oh God. That's menacing.
Yeah. But then he would also do really cute things like sit on a chicken egg for a couple hours and see if it would hatch. Like, he was very curious, very hands-on. That poor mama, poor Nancy, had to keep an eye on him. So he started to develop hearing problems at the age of 12. And this is something I always forget, that he was pretty much deaf. I always forget that for some reason. And apparently the cause of the deafness was reoccurring and untreated middle ear infections.
Ooh.
And a bout of scarlet fever during his childhood.
Oof, that's rough.
Yeah.
That's really rough.
So he was completely deaf in one ear and could barely hear anything in the other. And it started around the age of 12, and it just kind of over his lifetime would get worse. And it is said, alleged, that he would listen to music. He would like put his teeth on a piece of wood so the sound would absorb into the wood and he could feel it going into like his skull.
Okay.
Which
Neat.
actually is pretty damn smart. So in and obviously I don't think that was when he was a small child. I don't know what time that, happened. But, okay, so he was born in 1847. In 1854, the Edison family moved to Port Huron, Michigan. Port Huron, Michigan. And in 1859, at the ripe old age of 12, he got his first job as he was losing his hearing. But he started selling newspapers and candy on the Grand Trunk Railway. So, oh, my shoulder.
Oh, by the way, when I was editing my Diwali episode, and your shoulder popped, I could hear it click. And I deleted it, but I was like, what? Because I can usually hear like our finger snaps and stuff, but I heard oh, my shoulder.
You could probably hear that because I was so close to the microphone. Oh my gosh. Okay. Back in it. We're back to Tommy. Back to Thomas. Also, apparently, his parents his family called him Al. Because his middle name was Alva. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. Random. I'm never going to call him that, but apparently that was a nickname.
All right.
So, at 12 years old, he was selling newspapers and candy on the Grand Trunk Railway, and this is where he became fascinated with the telegraph, because that was really sweeping the nation in 1859. It was like one of the first times, I forget exactly when it was invented, but it was one of the first times that you could communicate with someone across the country quickly.
Yeah.
And not, use pigeons. Plug in that episode. Or
like horseback,
like mail, and even trains, like carrying a letter still took days, you know, as opposed to months, but like days. He would practice using a telegraph. He would practice Morse code 18 hours a day.
It's a lot.
It's
a lot of time
practicing
Morse code.
He was obsessed with Morse code. And in 1862, just 3 years later, he began work as a telegraph operator in Port Huron. So it really kind of paid off, those 18 hours a day. And by this point, he was 18 years old, and he realized he was really losing his hearing. It was starting to affect him. And he said that this actually kind of gave him an edge because it kind of blocked out the rest of the world and he could really focus on what he was doing. And he worked as a telegraph operator for 5 years. And he ended up taking the night shift, which let him experiment during the day because he was still into that experimentation. And he studied, I typed telepathy. I don't think that's the term. No. He studied the telegraph down to how it works, the components, the mechanics, the mechanisms. He was very mechanical. And in 1869, he received his first patent for his first invention, which was the electric vote recorder.
Very neat.
To think that he created the first one of the things that they smashed up in the Battle of Athens episodes,
right.
100 years later, 100 years before that incident in Athens happened, he just casually made it at 22 years old.
No big deal.
No biggie. And he got his first patent for that. And at the age of 22, literally with just a few dollars in his pocket, he moved to New York. And he had short-lived jobs making telegraphs for people, kind of like contract jobs. He absolutely mastered the telegraph, and he made different versions and patented different versions of these telegraphs. I mean, like automatic telegraph machines. I think there was one that could do like multiple signals at the same time. Like, it was wild. And he was saving up his money to build a laboratory for his experiments. And he did eventually get a job at Law's Gold Indicator Company. And that was a steady income as well. So he opened his first workshop in Newark, New Jersey with a man named Franklin Pope. And Franklin Pope was another inventor. He was so kind to let Edison stay in his house, like in the basement of their house, but Mr. Pope's house. How many times am I going to say house? And they founded their own company in October of 1869, and they worked as electrical engineers and inventors. So it was called the multiplex telegraphic system, and it could send two messages simultaneously in 1874.
Very cool.
I messed that sentence up so bad.
It's okay.
So in 1871, he met and married a woman named Mary Stillwell. So if you scroll down, Morgan, you will see there's two women. It's the one on the left is Mary.
Okay.
And they were married on Christmas Day.
Aw, cute.
Cute. She was 16 at the time, and he was 24. Wasn't weird back then. Problematic now, obviously, but we're talking,
1860s.
1870s. Yeah. It was 1871 when they got married. So
okay. But yeah.
Yep. She was a small town girl and obviously very young. Mm-hmm. And they would go on to have a daughter and two sons, 3 kids. And she was kind of afflicted with illnesses. So she always seemed to be sickly, had headaches, nervousness, stress, anxiety. Just the way that they put it, I was like, that just sounds like depression to me.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was 1871. It could have been a whole myriad of things, but that's the way that the documentary that I watched really portrayed it. I'm just going to tell you the years that their children were born, and we're going to move on. So in 1873, Marion Estelle was born. In 1876, Thomas Alva Jr. was born. And in 1878, William Leslie was born. And the 2 eldest went by Dot and Dash because he liked
Morse code.
Morse code.
Aw, cute.
That's cute. Yeah. And he was a father. Was he there? No. He was very much always in the laboratory. And it was said that basically they'd see him on Sundays.
That's sad.
So, yeah. So in May of 1876, Edison moved to Menlo Park, New Jersey. And this is where he establishes a large laboratory. And it was funded by the sales of the multiplex system. And it was like 5,000 square feet, which was huge. I have a picture of it in the notes. And this was like one of the biggest private labs in the world at the time.
Wow.
And Edison decided he was just going to make inventions his day job. Everyone who was inventing at the time, patents were going like hot cakes. This was the big time of invention in the United States, in America, and everyone had a patent, from like cures of hog diseases to fuck if I know, just like everything was
literally anything that you can think of.
Yeah. And everyone that was doing that had a job and then invented on the side. Mm-hmm. Edison was like, fuck it, I'm going to invent full time. So he did. And he wanted to be cranking out so many things. I think it was like once a week. It was once every 10 days. He wanted to have like a small minor invention cranked out, and then a big invention every month or so. Like, he wanted them to go like crazy. And he did have a team.
Okay.
He had a team of people. He was ready to get to work, and it was said that it was like a frat party, like a frat house vibe, but they were building shit instead of partying. He would literally try to beat his own working records. Like,
wow,
I worked on this for 16 hours. I'm going to try for 17 tomorrow. Yeah. In 1876, they started doing that. And then something happened. Mr. Alexander Graham Bell invented a teeny tiny little thing called the phone.
Yeah.
And Thomas was not the kind of person to give two fucks about how much money he was making off of these things. He did not care. He wanted a healthy competition. He literally said an inventor needed an enemy.
Well, he had plenty of those, so...
Yeah. Yeah. So, he just wanted the competition. It literally only took him a couple months to make the phone better. He invented the carbon telephone transmitter, and that extended the clarity and range of the telephones. He was like, I see that, but let me make it better with my magic brain in hands. And he was like, you know what? This is really cool. I can hear someone's voice. What if I, found a way to replay that over and over? So in 1878, he was like, I'm going to do that. And on November 21st, he developed the foil cylinder phonograph. He would later go on and patent it on December 24th. And then the patent was awarded on February the 19th of the 1878. So when I say 1878, the patent was given then. So how he did this, he was like, I think if we just had something to be able to make the dots and the dashes, because he's kind of going with Morse code. So he's like, if we can make the little thingies and then have something to play it, it'd be fine. So he just kind of built it, and then he recorded himself playing Mary Had a Little Lamb, and everyone's hovered around it, and he played it back, and what the fuck, it worked. And he said, I'm always afraid of anything that works the first time. He was like, I don't know about that. What the fuck?
Must be a daemon. Nothing works the first time.
He's like, holy shit, the drawing worked, and then I just made it, and then what?
That's another one of those machines. When we've talked previously about just computers and fax machines, how the fuck do they work? And we've even talked about it when we talked about why am I blanking on her name?
Hedy Lamarr?
Yes, thank you so much.
Hey, I did it!
Yes,
Word
thank
charades.
you. I was completely blanking on her name about like the wire, like the frequency skipping radio. The fact that like our voices can go into a machine and then come out of either the same or another machine fucks my brain up so hard. I have no idea. And I've even watched videos of like how it works, and my brain will not accept it as truth.
Demon.
Magic.
Possessed machines. I don't know either. I cannot. It blows my mind just that I'm holding an entire world's worth of information in this box. How does that happen? How am I looking at your face when you are 3-hour drive away from me? How do cars work? I don't know.
Yeah. It's all just magic.
Here. I'm just in this world hanging on for dear life. Yeah. I don't know how shit works. Thank God I married an engineer, because he does.
He understands.
Make this. I build things with my hand. If it's past like laying flooring and painting walls or baking a cake, I can't. Sometimes if I think too hard about how I add like salt and baking powder into something and now the cake rises, that's too much.
I was literally just thinking that. I mean, like, baking in and of itself is a science and there's chemistry involved, and my brain is like, no.
Yeah.
Do not.
It's a tasty chemistry. Delicious chemistry. Fattening chemistry. And I've made, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5, 12 batches of cookies today.
That's so
for
many
my
cookies.
Job. Yeah, it is. It is. And my oven still sucks. So,
oh no.
So if you're a realtor in my area, you should have gotten cookies by now. Anyway, back to Thomas. Oh my God. Instead of us having a brain fuck. So the phonograph was a national wonder, because this is literally the first time that anything like this has happened. I mean, people are like, oh yeah, we can talk on the phone, but nothing has ever been recorded up to this point. This is the first sound recording that's ever happened. And it's Mary Had a Little Lamb. And Alexander Graham Bell said it was the most astonishing thing to him that he could have let that invention slip through his fingers. Look at that competition.
Also, I don't really talk about him, but Alexander Graham Bell was mentioned in the research I was conducting. I don't talk about him because there's too many other things to talk about, but he pops up in the story if you decide to look it up on your own.
I can't wait till next week's. Okay. And the phonograph, we're talking about the phonograph right now. Lord have mercy. It was in Scientific American, and it made him instantly popular. I mean, world famous. And he was a self-promoter. Remember, he comes from very humble background, and he would literally, like, he was the all-American, funny, charismatic vision of what people thought the great American inventor was. So, like, people would come to his lab, and he'd, like, walk out of a room wearing a lab coat, and he had a neckerchief around his neck, and he had, like, shit on his face, and he's just like, here's some refreshments, let me show you how this shit works. And, like, you know, it just, he was down to earth. He wasn't, like, hoity-toity, and he was a press sensation. People could not get enough of him, because not only was he smart, he was charismatic. And he was a self-promoter. I mean, he didn't have anyone else to be like, this is Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
He was like, hi, I made this. And they named him the Wizard of Menlo Park. I want to be a wizard. And his inventions started, him or his inventions, you know, whatever it was in scientific journals nearly every week in the late 19th century. Like, every week. I absolutely love this little tidbit. So, on April Fool's Day, a newspaper wrote, I forgot exactly where the newspaper was. Y'all can Google it. That someone wrote an article that said they had gone to the Menlo Park laboratory and Thomas Edison had made this device called Would Feed the Human Race device, claiming that he could take dirt and turn it into food. Now, Thomas didn't do this. It was just an April Fool's joke. And apparently this machine could take head cheese. Do you know what head cheese is?
I do. That's really gross.
Yeah. We're going to call it like a type of cold cut. Yeah. I love this because no one would type this nowadays. It claimed that head cheese tasted like woodcock, but that really it was just a type of game bird.
I was about to say, isn't that like a chicken?
Yeah, something like that. And he said it made coffee-like beverages different from anything I'd ever seen, and a sweet gelatin covered in cream and jelly. So, like, literally a machine that took dirt and made food. In the last sentence of this article, the writer awoke from a nap and realized that the entire thing was a dream. So, like, at the end, it was like, this ain't real. People took it seriously.
Yeah, of course they did, because people don't read. Fully.
No, they don't. And it was giving, do you remember, was it April Fool's Day or was it just a random day that there was that radio?
Oh, the War of the Worlds.
The War of the Worlds, yes. That people, I mean, and I can understand that because if you're just flipping through the channels, you didn't hear the beginning of that. You pop in right in the middle. Mm-hmm. You think the world is fucked. I can understand that, but I mean, you're reading a newspaper. Come on, finish the article. Good Lord.
Yeah.
But people took him that seriously. They were like, oh shit.
Yeah.
We don't have to grow food anymore.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. Freaking Thomas. So, in that same year, the Edison Speaking Phonograph Company was incorporated. And he would go around and give like demos of the phonograph to celebrities and like Congress. He went to Congress once. And he didn't like being a celebrity because it was hindering him from like inventing shit.
Working.
He didn't have time for that. And he was getting very bored with the phonograph. We're going to see this a lot where he just like creates something and then he's like, all right, I'm going to do something else now. Like one article was like, some researchers think he might have ADHD. It's like, I mean, it tracks, but I don't know. I'm not diagnosing Thomas Edison. So between 1878 and 1879, I've got this one named Let There Be Light. So Edison, we all know it. He made the light bulb. The bulb. So gaslighting was bad. Mm-hmm. Because it was dirty and it leaked and could kill you. And I mean, the obvious, it's an open flame, so that's dangerous in itself. And it just wasn't a very good option for indoor lighting. And at the time, people knew electric lights could be used because he wasn't the first to make an electric light. Let's be clear there. They had arc light, which is, all right, it was a light that was created by 2 electric rods, and the arc in between was the light produced, except it was so fucking bright that they couldn't use it inside. Even when they're outside, they were so bright, it was almost uncomfortable.
Because that's like pure plasma. That's like an arc weld that you're using as a light bulb.
They would use it in parks and stuff, and people like would have umbrellas to block the light. It was too much. Yeah, my daddy used to tell me every time he would have to weld, he'd be like, close your eyes or you go blind. And I thought that the moment I looked at that thing, I was just going to lose all my eyesight. He had me terrified.
I mean, it doesn't take much.
No, it really doesn't, honestly. And he was right. I mean, I was like 7 years old running around. He had a whole like welding helmet on, and I'm just like dicking around in the garage. So yeah,
he had to
close your eyes.
He had to scare you.
Yes. Sometimes scare tactics are for the better.
Yeah.
And he created what we call the incandescent bulb. But
as the filament, right?
Yes. He was technically not the first person to create an incandescent light. The only problem was it was invented 6 years before he was even born, and they had not found a way to make it sustainable. It would only light for a few seconds, and then floop, there goes the filament. Done.
Mm-hmm.
But he was like, all right, I see a need. I'm a fillet. I'm going to figure out the best filament and, bulb glass thing to put it in. And he did a couple like preliminary tests. And he was like, all right, after a few days, I got it. So he started bragging to the newspapers and the news outlets. For the next month, people were reporting on him, saying he's got it. He's going to figure it out. He was starting to get financial backing for this idea. But obviously, he wouldn't tell anyone what he was going to do until like the patents and everything like that.
Right.
And he claimed that he would light up a block in Manhattan in a few weeks. He was a little off.
Yeah.
After a year, his investors were like, bro, where's the light bulb? And they didn't think he could do it. And he had to keep sweet talking his backers and would like have to bring people in and give them like little tours and stuff. But Menlo Park, because of the backing, did get upgrades, dozens more men working on this project, and he famously said, quote, I have not failed. I have just found 10,000 ways that it won't work. So they tried tons of different materials to get the like filament right. And then one day they tried carbonized cotton thread. And as customary, they would put it in there. They would screw it into the thing. And also, before I say anything else, yeah, it might take a few weeks to make a light bulb. But you've got to make all the thing the light bulb screws into. You have to make the whole circuit. You have to make the whole thing. And then you have to figure out how you're going to light a whole city block.
Mm-hmm.
That's insanity.
And you have to blow the glass for the bulbs. You have to get someone to make those for you too.
Yeah. So I feel like a few weeks he was really confident on that.
Yeah.
It's way more complicated than making a light bulb. Like you have to make the thing that makes the light bulb do the shit. So anyway, they screwed it in and they left for the night, which was totally safe, of course.
Absolutely.
An unknown shit. Anyway, they came back the next day. That bitch was still on. 13 and a half hours later, it was still on. And he said, if I can get this to burn for 13 hours, I can get it to burn for 100. So
All right.
everyone was shooketh. So on New Year's Eve of 1879, he decided he was going to unveil the bulb. So imagine it. We've got Menlo Park. It's New Year's Eve. It's cold and dark. And you pull up on the train and you start going to his laboratory where he's unveiling this light bulb. And your walk is lined with 20 lampposts. Lit lampposts. You have never seen an electric light in your life other than that fucking arc light that's trying to actively blind you. And it's like a soft glow, and you walk up and the entire laboratory is lit. Ta-da.
Woo.
It's like, I just feel like that'd be so magical.
Yeah. Like literally magic. You'd be like, how are these orbs of light contained in like the lamppost and lighting my way in the dark? Unprecedented.
Yeah. And I mean, we all love seeing, at least I know I do, a very beautifully lit house up on a hill, and you're like, look, it's so cute with the little trees around. And it's like, could you imagine never seeing anything like that in your life and then being like, that house is lit up? What the fuck?
Yeah. That's insane.
Crazy. So, obviously, big hit. But now he's got to take this on a small scale and make it big scale for New York City.
Mm-hmm.
And he spent his days in New York at the Edison Light Company. This is where he designed the world's first electrical grid system. And, I mean, it was a business. He made it a very successful business. It had 6 steam engines, and 6,000 feet of copper conductors were laid underneath the ground. And this also took time because he had to get like the approval from the city to like lay shit under the ground to even do all of this stuff. And if y'all didn't know, his electric current was DC, so direct current. That was one way.
Mm-hmm.
One way current. The other one was developed in Europe, I believe. And it's AC, alternating current. So it goes 2 ways.
Yeah.
And that's about as technical as I'm going to get with it because we don't have time.
Yeah, Edison like clinging onto the direct current which was so completely inefficient compared to the alternating current was laughable.
So he did run on DC, and he oversaw these factories himself. He was very hands-on. But the money men that he called them, they provided a lot of distraction. So, a little guy named J.P. Morgan was an investor, and he wanted to showcase this new technology in his house. So he bought an isolated unit for his house, which means he had his own generator for his own house. And he would throw these lavish parties and show it off. And then people were, the rich and the famous in New York City were like getting isolated units for themselves. But they were loud as fuck because he had a generator in your freaking basement or outside. And the neighbors would complain, honestly.
Yeah.
Because DC needs... They're not very efficient.
Noise.
Yeah. So, in 1880, he discovered the phenomenon called the Edison effect. And that is where electrons are emitted from a heated solid surface and flow to a cooler surface in a vacuum. So they go from hot to cold.
I heard what you said, but I don't understand it.
I'm going to be honest, I don't either. So if you want to understand that, go forth. I implore you, please do it. So in 1882, on September the 4th, 2 years after his unveiling of the lights, Edison opened the commercial electric station in New York City with approximately 85 customers and lit New York City, or lit Manhattan. Around this time, Menlo Park lab was closed. They still had the house over there, and his wife still lived over there, but the laboratory was closed. He was just so busy with the lights.
Yeah.
And he flipped the switch and was like, cool, and they're expanding and they're going, and he wanted to go back to his tinkering days because, bless his heart, he made an invention. Every time he made an invention that was like really good, he got sucked into that, and he's like, but the inventions. I have more shit to make.
I have more ideas.
So, you remember Mary, Edison's wife? She, unfortunately, on August the 9th of 1884, passed away at the age of 29.
Oh, man.
And that was at the Menlo Park house. He barely made it in time to say goodbye to her.
Really? Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah. And, I mean, it really wasn't even anything specific that she died from other than a morphine overdose, which wasn't uncommon.
Yeah.
But I really just think that, like, the poor woman was just depressed as fuck. And the doctors just gave her too much morphine.
That's so sad.
Yeah. And she did have a lot of complications from her third pregnancy. But, I mean, she was alone.
Yeah. To raise 3 kids.
By herself.
Sounds like depressed. Yeah.
And she didn't like,
that's so tragic.
She didn't like the spotlight. She didn't like all that. She's like, leave me alone.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to do shit here. So he had no inventions going at the time because he was so busy with the lights, and he was now a 37-year-old widower with 3 kids to take care of that he hadn't really had a hand in raising to begin with. So, shortly after, he took his 12-year-old daughter to an exposition on an adventure. So they went to Philadelphia, and he left the 2 younger boys with Mary's mother. And they went on a trip to go see a man named Ezra Gilliland. And Ezra was an inventor, and he designed the telephone switchboard and the magneto bell. Don't know what the magneto bell is, but y'all can Google that. And they were really close friends. Like, they knew each other from the operator days.
I'm looking up magneto bell. I don't know if I
y'all.
spelled this right. It's spelled like magneto bell. And apparently it is a bell that is sounded remotely by means of a magnetic current. So it's exactly what it sounds like.
Magnet bell. Sweet. Well, Ezra and him became closer. I mean, they were friends to begin with, but then they like started hanging out more. And I think him losing his wife in this manner really made him want to do better. He started actually taking vacations with his family, and he went to Fort Myers, Florida, and him and Ezra he bought land, and then him and Ezra built houses side by side.
Oh, that's so cute.
I know, and the houses still stand today, I believe.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, we should go.
Yeah.
Also, we should go visit Corey and just see all of these sites, because I think a lot of them still stand. And she's in New Jersey.
New Jersey.
So, Jersey. So, he really took obviously this man is not laid back, but for him, a more laid back approach to life. And I think he had probably a lot of regret not being there for, like, ever of his wife's, like, life.
Mm-hmm.
So it was through Ezra that he would meet a woman named Mina Miller. At the time, she was 19. And he was 39 when they got married.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, she was 19 she was 19 at the time with a 12-year-old stepdaughter.
I was about to be like, please don't tell me she had a 12-year-old
No.
daughter. Oh my God.
No.
They're only 7 years apart. That's...
Yeah. But, whatever, she moved in the right circles, so she was accustomed to, like, more of a spotlight role. Her father was an inventor and a prominent figure in the like 19th century education reform.
Mm-hmm.
So she was well educated, had her own goals. I think she did a lot of charity work and things like that, and had a really good sense of self, which if you're going to be married to a man like this, I feel like you're going to need it.
Yeah.
And Thomas apparently was smitten from the beginning. And he wrote in his diary that he might have to take out an accident policy because he was, quote, thinking about Mina and came near to being run over by a streetcar.
His head was in the clouds.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
And they became really close. It was super cute. He taught her Morse code so they can tap on each other's hands and talk privately while with company.
Okay, that is pretty cute.
And he literally tapped, like, will you marry me on her hand? And she typed back, like, tapped yes.
Aw, that's really cute.
I know. Like, I feel so bad for his first wife because I feel like he just made a lot of mistakes there. I don't think that it's not that he didn't love her or anything like that. Just made a lot of mistakes. And then he really turned it around for the second marriage.
Yeah.
Or did the best he could under the circumstances.
Yeah.
So they got married on February 24th. They would go on to have 3 more children. Madeline Edison in 1888, Charles in 1890, who would later become the governor of New Jersey between 1941 and 1944,
Good for him.
and Theodore Miller Edison in 1898. I think Theodore lived to like the 1960s.
Oh, wow.
Which is
He saw a lot happen.
very strange to me. Yeah. That Thomas Edison's son, like, lived to be in the I think maybe one of them lived to, like, 1992. Maybe Theodore lived to 92, because he was, like, in his 90s when he died. Or, like, it was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Craziness. So, they bought a mansion in Orange Park, and that's where they raised the kids. And he wrote in a letter to her one day that you and the children and the laboratory are the most important things in my life. But, like, can you imagine? She's raising these 3 kids because the boys were younger at this time.
Yeah.
His eldest daughter was like, you're too young to be my mom. And you're, like, too old to be cool. So.
Yeah. And I don't blame her. The daughter at all. Not at all.
You're barely older than me, ma'am.
Yeah.
I'm not calling you mom.
I would feel very strange as a 12-year-old if my father got married to someone who's only 7 years older than me.
Yeah. I don't blame her at all. I also, like, if my dad remarried, I would probably be very combative. Like.
Yeah. I'm going to fight everyone.
I hate everything. Okay, so he moved his lab to East Newark. So he's got a new lab, a new start. I literally have written down, look up more about this. And we don't have time. Mm-hmm. But apparently he had like the eyeballs of a U.S. senator and an elephant hide in his lab at one point. Like, what is happening, my dude?
Strange.
It's very odd. He had a list called Things Doing and To Be Done list. And it was 5 pages long.
That's
He's doing a lot.
Yeah.
But, unfortunately, he had like, this was state of the art. This thing was huge. This was fancy. This was bougie. Never topped the Menlo Park inventions. Never, like, we've seen this before where, like, I was thinking of the Disney episode earlier where, like, you lost the thing that made it.
The spark.
The spark. You lost it. You lost the camaraderie. Like, it almost felt like you lost the, I don't think this as much as the Disney, like, that frat boy kind of vibe. Frat house vibe. You lost it.
Yeah.
So this next is called drama. So in 1886, there was a patent awarded to Mr. Alexander Bell's cousin, because they took the phonograph and instead of having a foil, it was wax. So it was like a whole new patent. Edison was like, how dare thy? How dare you?
Like, he didn't build off other people's inventions.
Right. And he was like, I had that on a shelf. I was going to pick it up and make it better later. So he was like, fine. So he went back and he made the perfected phonograph. Like, he's so petty. So Gilliland had been brought into this partnership, and while making the perfected phonograph was like, hey, I think these things would work better. And I think, let me give you some constructive criticism. And I don't know how he put it. I don't know if it was constructive. I don't know if he was being a butthole about it. But I don't know. Here's some criticism. And Edison was like, nah, how about you just run the business and I do the inventions here, not you. And it pissed off Gilliland. Like, dude, the fuck? So Gilliland started, like, there was a deal that somebody wanted to use the marketing rights for the phonograph company, and Edison was going to make like $500,000 off of this. And he really pushed Edison to do this. Like, he convinced Edison to sign off and like sell the marketing rights to this company. Do you want to know why? Because in a backhanded deal, Gilliland was getting $250,000 directly to him.
Ooh, sneaky.
So Edison found out, fired him, and he felt like this was a betrayal. Literally cut the pipes to the water to the house that was like next to the Fort Myers house. Like, they were like, fuck it, I'm not even giving you water.
Oh my God.
So pale, he had to go get his own water.
Wow. Yeah.
And then, you know what's crazy is I looked up those houses. I was like, I wonder if they're still there. And they are, but they call them the Edison Ford houses now. So I wonder if Gilliland sold his to Henry Ford, because Henry Ford and him became friends later on.
Of course. Also, that's just like, that's so sad that they were like such good friends that they literally built houses next to each other. And then it goes to Edison literally chopping up his ex-friend's water pipes. That is so much.
It's so much. the petty. Like,
Yeah.
I almost admire the petty.
Yeah. Same.
So, in 1888, Edison meets a guy named Edward. Listen, it's spelled Eadweard. So, Edward Muybridge.
I would just say Edward.
I'm doing my best here, guys.
Yeah.
And he showed him his Zupraziscope. Zupraziscope. Where are they coming up with these names? Honestly. Like, we're getting into the British amount of extra when naming things. It's insanity. So, he was like, cool. This is cool. Let's make a kinetoscope. And it was, quote, the idea for the kinetoscope was like an instrument which does for the eye what the phonograph does for the ear. So he wanted to make vidges. And also, I want you to go to the skit, and I want you to click on the dolls.
Oh, we're going to the horror show?
Yeah, so in 1889, because he's always, like, doing shit, they started making dolls with tiny, like, phonographs inside of them. And it was the Edison Phonograph Toy Manufacturing Company, and it started in 1891. Their nightmare fuel. I will put the link in the show notes, guys. Please go just Google, like, Edison's talking dolls or whatever, and you'll find videos of it. Can you hear him?
So I paused it while you were talking, but I'm playing now.
Okay, go ahead. Absolutely horrifying. It just scared the kids. So many kids would just cry.
I had to pause it because I'm getting major sensory overload. So probably the most funny thing about this is that the YouTube channel that posted this is PBS News. And they were literally saying this is nightmare fuel, which is very funny to me. It literally sounds like a woman shouting into the recording device, "Now I lay me down to sleep. Pray the Lord my soul to keep." But it's coming from a soulless doll with teeth. There is teeth in this doll and these soulless eyes. And
I hate it.
There's a lot going on. And, like, it's very staticky because, of course, it's, like, over 100 years old.
They sounded like that then. All the
I know.
kids were scared.
I'm sure. It's awful.
Yeah.
My ears felt like they were bleeding listening to that.
The project ceased in 1891, just 2 years later. They were like, these are not.
Oh, I see. I was, like, scrubbing through the video. It says the dolls were only produced for 6 weeks. The fragile wax recordings were often damaged during shipping, and children found them a bit too scary.
Yeah, I guess
are
they
awful.
tried to make them, like, better, and they were like, we give up.
Yeah.
We're done.
It's too much.
So in 1892, was the year that Edison General Electric and Thomson Houston merged into General Electric. And why would they do that? Well, if a town wanted to get electric lighting, they had a couple choices. They had Westinghouse, Thomson Houston, or Edison. Now, Westinghouse and Thomson Houston were both AC currents.
Yeah.
And then, like we said, Edison was DC. And to the average consumer, AC was looking better. But freaking Edison was holding on for dear fucking life.
Clutching onto DC with his fingernails.
Yes.
Don't take it away. Even though AC was objectively better.
Yes. Now, in the first 6 years following that first station in Manhattan lighting up, he had 121 central stations. Edison did. Westinghouse in the first year had 68.
Wow.
They were coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the fight for DC, he conducted a campaign to discredit the competitor, saying that AC was unsafe. He literally electrocuted dogs and cats and horses with AC just to show how dangerous it was. And if you guys see anything on Topsy, the elephant, that has been discredited. That is been disproven. So if you want to look into that, you can look into it. It was not Edison that shocked an elephant. It was her own handlers. Yeah. So you can Google that. We don't have time. I keep saying that like I'm that rabbit that's always late in
the white rabbit.
Yeah, the white rabbit. It's like we gotta go, but we don't have time. There's too much.
We're already bullshit. Over an hour in.
I know. Oh my God. Okay, so he wanted AC to be associated with death, and he was very much against capital punishment until this happened, and then he started like advertising for the electric chair using AC current because he's like, it's literally a death trap.
Well, joke's on him. Americans love killing people, so.
Yeah. You're like, oh.
A new way to torture and murder someone sounds good.
Let's go with AC then. It didn't make a damn dent in the sales. Because AC, you could build one powerhouse outside the town, and then your town expands. Oh, you just add more wires to it. Yeah. Whereas DC, you could only go like a mile or so before you had to have another powerhouse. It's
AC,
ridiculous.
Again, it was just objectively better in every way. It was a lot more efficient. Like you were saying, you could power more homes. Like it was less taxing on the system, and it could spread out over a wide area.
Yep. So during this merger, it changed to just General Electric. That is the General Electric that we know today.
Yeah. Which is also crazy to think about.
Yeah. Yeah. Who made the lovely oven upstairs that has cooked many a cookie and is absolutely falling apart now because it apparently was not made for me. I need like, I don't know.
Like an industrial oven.
I need an industrial oven. And I just casually bake now and I still need an industrial oven. So anyway, the investors were the ones that really pushed because the investors were like, shit, Edison's company isn't going to compete against this. Yeah. The money's in AC. So Edison, if you don't want to lose your shit right now, we need to do a merger. Mm-hmm. And Edison went kicking and screaming. And basically he was like, done. Get out. He literally like sold his shares, got out of the company.
Wow.
That belongs to you now. He was heartbroken because he wanted things to go his way, damn it. Like, listen, I get it. You worked real hard on it. You gave the world electricity. Admit when someone does something a little better than you. Yeah. Because he could have just been like, oh shit, you're right, AC is better. What kind of advancements could he have made to AC? Honestly, if he had just embraced it.
Yeah. I mean, seriously,
But-
that's what he did, is he took other people's designs and, like...
Made them way better.
Yeah.
Made them into something. So, in the 1890s, he went to Ogdensburg, New Jersey. Because iron company, why not? He made a new process for extracting iron from low-grade ore. Not going to get too into it. He basically crushed it up, put a magnet to it. The magnet sucks out all the ore, and then all the rest of it falls to the ground. Great.
There you go.
Awesome.
Cool.
Staff grew to about 200. After a couple years, he basically moved in full-time, but it was not going very good. Iron fell. Like, the price of iron fell.
Mm-hmm.
People started calling it Edison's Folly, which, again, another, like, Disney tie-in. They were calling Snow White Disney's Folly.
Yeah.
And the plant nearly shut down a few times because he didn't want to have any investors, because he had been burned by investors before. So, in 1898, almost 10 years, he finally admitted defeat. And he had put like $2 million of his own money into this company.
Oh my God.
But
Eek.
the one thing that happened that was really good was that he got his spark back. He finally went from like working just light bulbs for years.
Mm-hmm.
He went from that to being able to create things for this and having new ideas and new inspiration. So let's bring in 1893. We're backing up just a hair. So during the time of the iron thing, he created Black Maria. And it was honestly, they said why they named it Black Maria. There's a good reason. I don't remember. So it was a film studio, and it was like a building per se, but it had like, you could do it had like a sunroof so you could let light in, and he was just casually like, let's make motion pictures. Because remember, he had already kind of patented the kinetoscope.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like a full patent, if that makes sense. It was what's the word for it? Where you kind of like pre-patent something.
Like trademark
you say,
it?
I'm kind of, if I find...
All I can think of is like trademark or copyright or...
Yeah, it was something. I might have deleted it. I'm real tired, y'all. So, years earlier, he was like, I want to make this thing, but I like haven't yet. But I don't want anybody else to make it. Apparently, there's a way to like say, I'm going to make this or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So finally, in 1893. He started, there was a whole process, guys. We don't have time. But he basically was able to create this film that has the holes. So like it forwarded the film, and then it's just a bunch of pictures, right?
Okay.
And he was able, like literally he had Annie Oakley over. And was like, can you just shoot some shit while I film you? And, like, they did that. And made the first freaking video.
It's pretty
Motion picture. What the fuck? So, these short films were made to be seen through a peephole in the kinetoscope. And you like walk up and you look, it's like a cabinet, and you look into it and it like plays on repeat. And these really took the people by storm. So in 1894, the first kinetoscope parlor opened in Midtown Manhattan. on April the 14th. And like the phonograph, people were like, this is fucking great. But it was only fucking great for a very short period of time. Because,
Yeah.
like, the vibe of having to, like, look at the short thing and then look up and then scoot over to the next one and, like, look in that. It was just kind of short-lived entertainment. And his inventors, the people that worked with him, were like, dude, you've got to get a projector. You've got to figure out a way to just project it.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't want to, because he was like, if I get a projector, we're only going to need like 10 of these things in the whole United States. Like, he said, quote, let's not kill the goose that lays the golden egg. Like, buddy.
I'm just like, if only he knew. If only he knew the potential that this would have.
Yeah. So, obviously, someone else beat him to the punch with the Fantascope. And I think it was like a CinemaScope or something like that.
That sounds right, yeah.
A couple different ones. He ended up buying the patent, buying the rights to the Fantascope from that inventor, because his people were like, hey, this thing isn't really going to go anywhere, because I don't know if you know this or not, but like, that's Thomas Edison, and everybody's really waiting for him to make the thing. So,
oh, that sucks.
Because his name isn't on it, yours really isn't going to go anywhere. Why don't you just let us buy that patent, and like, you know, you'll get paid, we'll get the thing. Cool. So he bought it. And in 1896, he just slapped his name on it.
Didn't even change it.
Called it the Vitascope and unveiled it as his own.
Well, that's shitty.
Yep. In 1897, began legal battles for infringement, because this is the time that he started using his own name as like an image, as a brand. And this was actually interesting, because it was one of the first times that this has ever happened, that a person has turned into a brand. Now it's like
everyone is a brand.
Everyone is a brand. You are the brand. But this hadn't happened before. So Thomas A. Edison Incorporated was like worldwide, and his name, signature, and anything that had that on it was like, it was all over the product. His face was on the product, and he, through just being himself, created inventor as a profession. Like, he was just like, I'm just inventing shit as my day job, and they're like, that's a career now. He was so serious about his image that his son got duped. Thomas Edison Jr. sold his namesake to a fraudulent like medicine company. And Thomas Edison didn't want to be associated with that. There was nothing he could do. So he started paying his son $25 a week to go buy Burton Willard professionally instead of the name that was on the thing. Literally made his son change his name because he didn't want to be associated with that shit medicine.
Wow.
Yeah. So he continued to work. In 1898, I thought this was really cool. In the Spanish-American War, Edison sent cameramen to Cuba, and this was like the first time war was filmed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And in 1901, we just time traveled. Normally I do the opposite. So he built the nation's first indoor glass enclosed studio. And Nickelodeons started to become popular. And do you know what that is?
It's like, isn't it like a precursor to a movie theater?
It's, yeah, kind of. It's like a jukebox thing, you put in a nickel. And that's where, like, you watch or see the thing. You have to pay a nickel for it to do the thing.
Okay, gotcha.
And I thought that Nickelodeon was a made-up word until earlier today. So
I mean, it makes sense. Nickel, Odeon.
Yeah.
I don't know what the Odeon part means, but the nickel part.
They're making shit up. Yeah, the nickel part makes total sense. I just thought it was like they made up a funny word for a kid's cartoon channel.
Yeah.
Great. You learned something new. So on the fateful day of December the 9th of 1914, I know we skipped a lot of years. He was just doing Thomas Edison things between then. Making shit. There was an explosion in the film finishing building.
Oh, no.
And the fire spread. So it burned down 4 city blocks.
Oh, no.
But the main lab was not touched, thank goodness. And while it was still on fire, he was like, yeah, that's going to have to be rebuilt. Like, that's going to have to be rebuilt. And like, ooh. Immediately was just like $3 to $5 million in damage.
How many people were hurt or?
I don't know.
Oh, man.
1914. 4 people.
Okay. Man, like, that's kind of shitty, though, when it's, like, 4 people lost their life, and he was like, oh, well, okay, like, these things are gonna have to be rebuilt. Like, can you, like, try to, like, get something to, like, help those people? I don't know.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how he was, like, I'm sure he was sympathetic.
Yeah.
I would hope so.
I would hope so, too.
He was 65 at the time.
So he was honoring.
And, yeah, well, he was 65, and he was like, oh, shit, I'm going to have to start all over.
Yeah.
Oh, well, guess I'm going to have to start all over. So it was rebuilt.
Okay.
Everything was rebuilt. He did slow down, though. Him and Henry Ford started gallivanting around the countryside, and they called themselves the Vagabonds. And they literally would just take caravans and, like, went cross country, and it just seemed like a jolly old time, and I want to be there.
You want to go vagabonding, Emileigh?
I do want to go vagabonding. So he just kind of lived out his life, and in 1926, he resigned as president of Thomas A. Edison Incorporated, and his son took over. Not the eldest, obviously. I think he kind of burned that bridge when he sold his name.
Yeah.
But his eldest from his second wife, Charles, took over.
Okay.
And people would just straight up, like, go to his house and be like, hey, what do you think about this? And he's like, I don't really think about it, so... In his later years, he had a kidney failure.
Oh, man.
And it was said that he had, like, I almost said intestinal issues, like just, I guess, stomach problems. And he ended up just, like, doing a little, so he's like, I feel like I'm going to die anyway, so I'm just going to do a little experiment. He literally drank milk every 3 hours and would smoke cigars. And that was, like, all he ate.
Okay.
In his last months.
At least he wasn't injecting it into his blood. That's all I have to say.
No milk blood and no smoke enemas, because that could have been 2.
Yeah. Check out our medical episode, our medical practices bonus episode for more information on those 2 things.
It was a wild ass ride. So he died on October the 18th of 1931, and he was laid in the library of his home for 2 days. 50,000 people
Holy
came to pay their
shit.
respects. And President, I believe it was Hoover at the time, requested that everyone at the same time turn their lights off for 1 minute in respects. Because they were like, this would be the world without him.
Aww.
So sweet. So, just a couple more points.
Okay.
Legacy. They said, I just thought this was so funny. They referred to him as maniacally focused.
Okay.
Okay. He had 1,093 patents.
That's so many.
And he literally came up with like the modern process for innovation. Like people still use his processes today.
Wow.
And I would like to go over a few inventions we didn't talk about, and some fun facts.
Okay.
So, the electric pen, the automatic telegraph, the alkaline batteries, coal mine safety lamp, like the headlamp, wax paper, the etheric force. He found the etheric force. That was radio waves.
Wow.
He found the radio waves.
That's really cool.
He patented an entire system to mass produce concrete houses. He was an early person in fuel cell technology.
Wow.
Home subscriptions. So you could buy like music things and they would be sent to your house to play on your phonograph.
Oh.
And if you didn't want to keep them that month, you sent them back.
Neat.
I love this one, the spirit phone. He believed in ghosts. And he created something that like a ghost could talk to you through.
That's funny.
He said, quote, "I have been at work for some time building an apparatus to see if it is possible for personalities which have left this earth to communicate with us."
That's so funny.
And the last one is airtight glass vessels. Pretty much like modern day Tupperware. But they caught his last breath in one, and now it's in the Henry Ford Museum.
Wow.
Could you imagine having the intrusive thought of just like opening it?
I'm just imagining like the person like hovering over Thomas Edison as he died with like a glass container, and are like, "Is that his last one? Is that his last one? Is that his last? Oh, that's his last one. Get it." Sorry.
What if he closed it too late? Like,
no.
You're like, I missed it. Can you do it again, Tom?
Oh no.
Tom?
He did.
Oh shit.
Sorry. That I may be making light of something very morbid. Wait. That's the mental picture.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine if they got it and they're like, "Yes, we got it." And then Thomas goes, and it's like one more, and now they have to name it, and they don't want to open it because, like, what if you? So they named it like Thomas Edison's second to last breath.
Or they're just like, "We won't tell anyone about this. This is his last breath." Okay, everyone on the same page.
Okay. Huddle in. What do we do?
We'll just say it was his last breath.
It's his last one. Okay, so a couple fun facts. Edison was a big supporter of like solar energy. And he made like one of the first like portable generator. He had like a battery and generator on like the back of a horse wagon.
That's pretty cool, honestly.
Yeah. He's responsible for us saying hello when we answer the phone.
Really?
And because before you would answer the phone, like you would say, "Did I get you?" or "Are you there?" And he was like, "Hello was way easier. It's so much faster." Mm-hmm. And he also coined the term bugs for like issues in new technology.
Oh. Neat.
And Edison had one of the most recognizable faces in the world at the time.
Yeah, it's pretty, yeah.
And Edison had a tattoo on his forearm.
Really?
which was a it's like if you look at a parrot like a die, it's the 5 dots. So like the 4 and then the 1 in the middle. The funniest part about that is nowhere in any document can they figure out where the fuck it came from or why he had it or what. They're
what
like,
does it mean?
What does it mean? When did you get it? Why do you have it?
Every time he cut one of Ezra's water lines, he tattooed himself.
It's a remembrance. Don't trust.
Wow.
Well, yeah, it was a lot. I know. And there was so much I didn't get into, guys. If you want to learn more specifics, just Google it. I'm not trying to get into inventions. I don't know fucking shit.
Well, tell us about that documentary you watched.
It was called Edison, the Father of Invention. I ended up renting it for 3 days for like $3.99. It was about the only one that I could find that really like encompassed his life. So I found it was really cool. It was a good overview. I found a lot of other articles and such, which of course we, put in on the
show notes.
Shit, the show notes. Thank you, Jesus. We're extra ill-equipped today.
Yeah.
So go check that out. I definitely just like got on my TV and was like, I was like Thomas Edison, and then that's how I found the Father of Invention. I think it's on like Amazon Prime. So check it out. There is this entire article about Mina that I did not get to read all of. So she seems like she has a really cool life, and y'all should go check her out too, because
yeah,
I mean, she
seems like
kind
a
of
cool
kept
lady.
him in line. Yeah, she kept him in line. So yay, we did it.
Yay.
Yay.
2 hours later.
2 hours later. You know what I was just thinking the other day? I figured out that for me, 10 pages of notes is about an hour. And today was 17 pages of notes, including our sources. So, this is tracking. This is tracking. We're predictable. I literally typed it out and I was like, okay, do I have enough? And I was like, I have enough.
Yeah, you've got lots.
Lots. And I even cut out a lot of it. So
yep. Yeah. There was a lot that went on behind the scenes that we had to edit out.
Yes.
So.
Yes. So. Okay.
Well, this was super interesting. Thanks for finally covering the Father of Invention, Emileigh.
Of course. The Wizard of Menlo, I forgot, Park.
Wherever
the Menlo Park.
All right. Shall we get into our socials?
We should. We have a Facebook.
Ill-Equipped History Podcast group and page.
TikTok.
At Ill-Equipped History.
Instagram.
At Ill-Equipped History.
Gmail.
Ill-Equippedhistory at gmail.com.
And Patreon.
Patreon.com/ill-equippedhistory. Please sign up for bonus episodes and you get stickers too.
Yeah. Okay, if somebody does something better than you, maybe don't be as petty as Thomas Edison.
Just take the L. Just say like, good job. You did such a good job. And then move on to something else.
Maybe even collaborate. I don't know.
Stop. Collaborate. Listen.
Ice is back with a brand new invention. So, oh no. You've done it. You've done it. Flow like a hawk through daily and nightly. Whatever stop you. I don't know. Turn off the lights and I'll glow. Okay,
we know what he was writing about. We know who he was singing about.
Thomas Edison.
Vanilla Ice loves Thomas Edison.
Absolutely. Yes. Okay.